This project is called Monster in a Jar. And what we're going to do is we're going to be drawing out a jar, like a mason jar, on a piece of white paper. Materials that you'll need will be an eraser, pencil, I have a thick and thin Sharpie, and any markers of your choice to color in your monster. So as you can see, I'm going to put this to the side. As you can see in this example, that I have some different monsters that I've drawn out, and they all have a different body shape, and you could actually draw any one of these or mix and match the eyes, the mouth, their arms and legs, and even the horns on their head. As you can see, I have a section here on the different kinds of eyes that you can draw, mouths, and horns for your particular monster. So we're going to start off drawing on a piece of white paper. We're going to start creating our jar for the monster. So from the middle of from the top of the paper, you're going to come down just a tiny bit, and we're going to start with drawing a curved line. Now you're going to make a pretty good size so that you're able to draw a nice sized monster inside your jar. And we're going to curve under for the opening of the jar. Okay, and we'll add some details to it after we've drawn out the jar itself. So right at the edge of that oval, you're going to make a curved line on either side of your paper. And we're going to create a curve joining from one side to the other. Okay, and then we're going to make another small curve out and add another curved line to the bottom of that section. Now on the side of your jar, you're going to draw a small curve in on each side. And what you want to do is, the goal is to draw a pretty full size jar so we can get a fun monster inside of it. So on the left side, I'm going to curve out, and then I'm going to take a straight line down for the length of my jar. And you're going to go to the same thing on the other side. You're going to curve out and take a straight line coming down. And you want to stop opposite of where you finished on the left side, and then take a curve at the bottom. Okay, let's see. All right, so let's add a little bit more detail to our jar. And as you can see on this one that I've drawn out, I'll move this one over, we've added some lines to show some reflection of the light in the jar. And we're going to add that same detail to the jar that we just drawn out. So let's start at the top, and we're going to make kind of a curve underneath the top curve line that you've made. And we're going to curve in towards the bottom, but not finish off that curved line so they're completed. And we're going to add some kind of lines coming in just on the side, some long and short lines to create some more detail on both sides. And then we're going to just add some lines that are going up and down in between those two curved lines. Just a little bit of shading, so as you can see on this one. Now we're going to add a couple of curves for the shape of the glass. And you're going to take a little bit further down, we're going to add kind of some curves towards the bottom of your glass in your jar. And you can add a couple shorter lines of detail, and there you've got your jar. Now the idea, as you can see in this example, is I have kind of made a large monster to fill inside the jar, and the only part that I'm going to color in will be the monster itself. I'm going to leave the jar empty to show for the glass. And so what we're going to do is you can kind of look at the different details. First of all, what you're going to do is kind of figure out what shape body that you want for your monster. And you can choose any one of these examples or make up your own. And I think what I'm going to do is just start off with I'm going to draw it lightly in pencil. And I'm going to make kind of a roundish oval. And then I'm going to go over it with my Sharpie marker. And then what you'll do is you'll look at some of the examples of the different eyes on my sheet that I've created. And I'm going to start with the eyes. So this one I'm going to make a little different than I did on the monster that I have to my left. And so I'm going to make one larger circle, and you can do this in pencil first so that you feel most comfortable with your drawing, and then outline it with your marker. I'm just going to draw it in marker right now, but take your time. Now I'm going to draw kind of a mouth. I'm going to make a rather large size. Now you can create any kind of monster in your jar that you'd like. These are just some examples to give you some ideas. And I'm going to add some teeth on this guy. Now we're going to look for the details on the top of the head. You've got some different horns here. I think I'm just going to add some zigzags on the top of that curved line on his head. And then I'm going to add some nice size horns. Okay. Now I'm going to add the arms, and you can look at the different ways to create your arms on your monster. I'm just going to add a curve right underneath the horns. I'm going to curve out. You don't want to go past the jar. You want to keep them in the jar. And we're going to add 3 fingers. You're going to 1, 2, and 3 fingers. Curve and go right up to the side of the body. Let's do the same on the other side. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And now we want to add the feet. So you're going to take a line coming down. You can make long legs if you like, shorter legs, wider legs. I'm just going to do 2 double lines underneath the body, and then I'm going to add a nice curve out and connect it to that back line. Go to the top here and curve out, under, and connect it. And then I'm going to add some curved lines for his toes. And there I've got my monster. So now after I've drawn the monster, I'm going to clean up my pencil lines before I start adding color. Now the thing about coloring him in is you can use color pencils, you can use crayons, or you can use markers, whatever you'd like. Okay, so I'm going to start by coloring in his body, and I've got this marker that I've had. And take your time when you're coloring in the monster. And if you wanted to add some more detail, you could add some spots. I think I'll add some spots, and I'll switch to my skinny black marker, and I'll add some dots on the lower part of the body. and various size circles. Okay. Go back to my color. Always make sure that you cap your marker if you're using markers in between each use so that they last longer. And be careful coloring around the lines. Now it's good to use a Sharpie marker because when it gets wet, say from another marker, it doesn't bleed out and it won't change colors. And that would be Mookie, my cat. He's a bit noisy and has the worst meow on the planet, but he's a sweetheart. Now because it's a monster, you can make him very colorful. I cap my marker and I think I'll color in his horns right now. Cap my marker. I think I'll switch to a purple and do the top part of his head a different color. I think I'll add this purple to a couple of the circles, creating dots. And I'm gonna give him different color arms and legs. I'm gonna add this color to the rest of the circles. And I'm gonna try a different color for the legs. Okay, there we are. Now I want to show the table line. So I'm going to use a regular pencil for that. And I'm going to take a line up from the bottom of the jar, not at the bottom of the jar, but up from the bottom. And I'm going to continue that to the other side, make that a straight line. But I want to kind of make it a little bit wobbly to show some distortion from the glass. And I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow. And I can use my pencil for that, or you can use a color pencil slightly darker than what we've got on the horns. And you have to kind of see if it works and it shows up slightly darker. Now that does not. So another option would be just to use your pencil. And I'm not matching the color, and I'm just gonna go over the bottom of my horn and lightly shade with my pencil. It's gonna create a little bit of depth so it doesn't look too flat. And I'm gonna go, you may have to press a little harder on the inside of the arms. And if that doesn't show up, you can use your very skinny black marker and you can just do some very short lines. And this is called hatching. And if you wanted to go over underneath the horn, you could do that as well. Short lines to create a little bit of shadow. Let's go on the other side here. And then I'm gonna just add some hatching along the bottom part of my monster. The closer the lines are together, the darker, and you don't need to have too many to show some detail. And then I'm just going to go along the bottom of the feet to add a little tiny bit more detail to my monster. Let's see, I think I'm just gonna add a little bit underneath his mouth. And underneath the eyes, just a little bit of detail. Very close to the bottom of the eyes to make it pop a little bit more. Okay. All right, so there you have your monster in a jar. I hope you had some fun, and I'll see you soon. Thanks so much.